Okay, I told you about lawyers are not legally required to report themselves, but it used to say years ago reporting misconduct is mandatory. That was it. Okay, so let's go to misconduct. Professional misconduct for lawyers to attempt to violate the rules of professional conduct, knowingly assist or induce another to do so. Okay. So, violating the rules of professional conduct or assisting somebody else is misconduct. Whether it be a judge, a lawyer, anybody assisting anybody in so they're assisting your lawyer for not abiding by the rules. Okay. So, reporting professional misconduct. So, your lawyer doesn't have to report himself, but since reporting misconduct is mandatory, see, it says here, a lawyer who knows another lawyer has committed a violation of the rules shall inform the appropriate professional authority. Okay, the same goes for a judge. A lawyer who knows that a judge has committed a violation, the applicable rules of judicial conduct, shall report that some bitch also. Okay, so violating the rules is misconduct, and reporting misconduct is mandatory. So the lawyer doesn't have to report himself, but he has to report misconduct. Reporting misconduct is mandatory. So he has to report the opposing party, whether it be the state's attorney or a lawyer in civil court, whatever. So he has to report them for their failure to report him for misconduct. Okay. So he literally has to report them for their failure to report him for misconduct. So yes, lawyers are, in a sense, legally required to report themselves by reporting the judge and the opposing party for misconduct for their failure to report him or her for misconduct. Okay, see, it's all in a simple play of words. Okay, and you can get your lawyer, any lawyer, for misconduct, because this is where deprivation of rights starts, and nobody talking to you about this, nobody living up to this. If you don't talk to your lawyer about all this, like I said, there's different rules for different courts, but the rules and the codes apply in every court. Okay, responsibilities regarding non-lawyer assistance, responsibilities of subordinate lawyers. A subordinate lawyer can't say, well, hey, I was only taking orders. Only taking orders is not a viable defense in any court of law. And managers are responsible for their subordinates, so you can sue both parties, as well as, who they work for. Dealing with unrepresented persons, they'll do it all the time. And declining on behalf of a client with a person who is not represented by counsel, a lawyer shall not state or imply that the lawyer is disinterested. Okay, so basically, a couple times I got arrested, and state's attorney came to see me to offer me a plea deal. It's illegal. Totally illegal. But they'll do it anyways, Truthful in statements to others, that rarely happens, so you want to use that. Advocate in non-adjudicated proceedings, I've heard some people talk about that. Special responsibilities of the prosecutor. People, no prosecutor does that. Especially when it comes to exonerating a person that they know to be innocent by, through exculpatory evidence, So if you have exculpatory evidence, the quickest and the cheapest way is to go to the state's attorney's office, say, hey, I have exculpatory evidence, Rule 3.8, special responsibility. Prosecutor says, if I divulge this exculpatory evidence to you, it's your job to exonerate me and take every measure possible. Okay, so I'm just giving you a brief, but you should read that trial publicity. I see lawyers out there violating that all the time. Impartiality and decorum decorum of the tribunal. You want to go over that. A lawyer shall not seek to influence a judge, juror, prospective juror. Communicate ex parte. Communication is prohibited by law, court order. Engage in conduct intended to damage a tribunal or disrupt a tribunal. Okay, so fairness to the opposing party and counsel. I've often worked with people, and lawyers would say, well, I didn't get this from the other side, I didn't get from that. See, in fairness to the opposing party and counsel, it would be, diligent to expedite litigation. Those are meritorious claims and contentions. That would be competent. That's up here. Diligent, competent. See, so these apply to all lawyers, so nobody can withhold anything or take their time. It would be diligent to expedite litigation. Failure to expedite litigation. It's breaking the law. It's called withholding evidence, etc., etc. Fees are extraordinarily they're based on not doing any of this. You're literally paying somebody not to do this, and they're supposed to do all this. People, this is effective assistance to counsel. This is where effective assistance to counsel starts with all lawyers, not just your lawyers, but all lawyers. So the opposing party has to abide by this too. Okay, but I just wanted to explain to you, you have to go down here. Remember, so a lawyer is not legally obligated to report themselves, but they are legally obligated to report misconduct, and the opposing party and the judge's failure to report him for misconduct is misconduct. So he has to report the other side for not reporting him for misconduct, which is great. So, I mean, come on. And hold them to the letter of the law, people. They're going to tell you, that don't mean what you think it means, But remember, in my other video, a few of my other videos, I went over with penalties for violating the letter of the law and violating the letter of law. Anything they say to void the letter of the law is disinformation. Look up penalties for disinformation for lawyers and judges. So violating the letter of the law leads to disinformation, and there's penalties for both. Okay, nothing but peace and love for you. May your Creator always be with you and rain many blessings. I wish you a long life and good health. Nothing but peace and happiness, y'all. Nothing but peace and happiness. Remember, yes, so they don't have to report themselves, but they have to report the other people involved in this case for misconduct, for their failure to report him or her for misconduct. Pretty easy, pretty goddamn easy. I'm sorry I didn't explain that in the other video, but I just kind of lost track there. But you have a good night, all right? Thank you for listening.